Good morning and welcome to another Dhamma talk from Newbury Buddhist Monastery, Sunday morning Dhamma talk. So I'll just quickly introduce myself. So my name is Venerable Cunda, and I've been a monk for roughly 10 years. So this is my fourth talk at Newbury Buddhist Monastery. So you see, after the Dhamma talk, we request for any question and answer. Any questions? Okay, so we can start the talk. So I'm just going to just chant, keep a quick chanting. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. So the monks and nuns at Newbury Buddhist Monastery, we just finished our rains retreat Wasala, just 2 days ago. So the monks, out of our 3 months retreat Wasa, so usually during those 3 months retreat, we stop all work, and we need to do what is required in the monastery. And we spend most of our time in the monastery just to practice, study, and to basically just deepen our meditation, deepen our practice. So those 3 months range retreat Wasala is quite a special time for the monastic, because you see outside the 3 months we are working hard and doing a bit of teaching, doing a lot of work. And Newbury Buddhist Monastery is quite a new monastery. We are roughly about 6 years old now. And I remember last year, there was a lot of building happening. So we were starting our construction of the new monks monastery, or monks area. So I was here last year for the Wasa, and it was a bit more busier than our usual Wasa. So that was my first Wasa at Newbury Buddhist Monastery last year. And I was staying here for the Wasa. I stayed for about a year last year. And during the Wasa, was in the middle of the building construction of the first stage of the monks area, new monks monastery. Yep. So this year we basically finished construction of the monks area. So we got new kutis, a new Sangha house where the monks move in. So this year has been a very special year for me, after supporting this project and helping to oversee and support the community. So this is my second Wasa at Newbury Buddhist Monastery, and was a very special occasion for me, because I came here mainly to support the community, and also support one of my friends that was the leading monk here. So I came to support this community and help out my friend. But within roughly 2 years, he was overworked, so he basically resigned. And the community here asked me to support this monastery and take over the project. So later on, I asked Ajahn Brahm to invite other monks from Bodhinyana to come over and to support this community and support this project. So Bhante Matito have a good building background, because he, as a lay person, he worked with his dad, his own family business, as running a construction business. So he took over the project here and oversee the building of the monks monastery. So hopefully next year he'll be back here again to oversee and also take care of the construction of the new retreat center for the lay community. So that will be a very exciting project next year. Yeah, so coming back here this year, staying here for the second time for the Vasa was a very special occasion for myself. But after working, supporting this community for 5 years, coming back here and seeing that the new kutis, the new Sangha house was built and completed, and also have this great opportunity to stay in the new buildings and new accommodation. One of the things that I added onto the project was to build a to basically put in plan with the help of the sub-building committee, the Sangha house. But so the original plan was the monks area will be at the retreat center. So I decided it's good for the monks to have their own place. So it's more quiet. So sometimes for monastic, it's best if they be around other monastic. So the Sangha house was added into the project. And the other thing that was added was kutis. Kutis that was built. There's 5 kutis and 1 kuti for senior monks. So that senior monks kuti is called Ajahn Brahm's kuti. And in that kuti, we added things like a shower and toilets within the kuti. So that way, the monastic can have a maximum time staying in those kutis. Because in the main monastery, in Bodhinyana Monastery, it's a very simple monk's hut or monk's kuti, where the monk stays there. They live in those kutis. They practice and meditate in those kutis. But when it comes time to shower or go in the toilet, we have a shower block or evolution block where the monastic will go down to the shower block just to take a shower or do their business. So I find that sometimes if you have a community block or evolution block, it can be very noisy and there's a lot of moving up and down during the Vasa. So one thing that I added to the new kutis here is to have the kutis have their own showers and toilets. So that way the monastic can spend a maximum time by themselves and don't have to mingle with other monastic. So staying in this in the Vasa here was very special for myself and other monks that came here. And on the feedback of the Sangha here, they say this is probably one of the best monastery they ever stay in because it's quite comfortable and they're quite alone. And it was very good for the practice. So the feedback from the monks that are staying here for the first Vasa in the new monks area was very good feedback. And a lot of the monks have very good practice. They say that this one, they have a very good retreat and good meditation here. So I was quite happy and quite proud of the feedback from the monastic. Yeah. So this 3 months Vasa was a very special occasion for all the monastic and also our lay supporters is staying here too. But all good things have to come to an end. So we just finished our Vasa 2 days ago. So so the monks and the nuns and the lay community that's staying here, we're back to our normal duties of getting things ready for the fire season and just making things are done. That's the daily running of the monastery. But it's quite interesting sometimes when you look and reflect back. The monastery is a very peaceful place just to practice. And it's like we move away from just a lot of the worldly problems up there. I mean, sometimes once in a while, I'll check the news and see what's happening. And every time I check the news, I realize that, wow, there's so much confusion, chaos, and uncertainty in the world. And I go, geez, what a big difference out in the world compared to the monastery. In the world, there's still the ongoing coronavirus problems, and the virus is spreading again all over the world. And also we're having a second lockdown in Melbourne. But things are managing now. So hopefully we'll recover from the second wave in Melbourne. So hopefully things will improve. But for the rest of the world, they're having a second wave. So they're having a lot of problems. So from what the government is saying, or the economists said it will be a worldwide recession. So it's a lot of uncertainty. And one thing that I was checking the news, there's been a war broke up in 2 countries. I was going, wow, all this problem never ends. And we have problems with climate change too, with pollutions, with bushfires all over the world, especially in Siberia. Wow. And those things are getting worse out there. Then you got the ocean that's filled with plastic pollutions, and some scientists reckon in the future there might be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Oh dear. Yeah. Sometimes as a monastic we wonder why things are like that in the world, and the reason for that is because of greed, hatred, and delusion, or basically delusion is basically ego. These are driving the defilements in people's heart and mind, and it's driving all the problems in the world. So when I was a layperson, before I became a Buddhist, I used to see all the problem in the world, and the problem with my friends, and the problem with myself, and I used to get very depressed and upset, and also angry with what's happening in the world. Then with my friends, and also that's the way that I am. I'm not good enough. I'm not trying my very best in life. So those kind of thinking actually made me quite unhappy and depressed. It's only when I started studying Buddhism and learning meditation, I realized that all this stuff comes from the mind, because it's the defilements that was driving our unhappiness and discontentment in our heart and in the mind. So one of the very first Buddhist book that I read was the Dhammapada. And when I read the Dhammapada, it actually made a lot of sense to me. Yep. So the first verses of the Dhammapada, when I first read it, it just made a lot of sense to me. And I got very interested in basically in Buddhist practice and Dhamma practice, Buddhist teaching. So the first verse of the Dhammapada is, the mind is the forerunner of everything. Mind is the chief. So a mind that is tainted by greed, hatred, and delusion will lead to unskillful or evil acts or karma that leads to bad action, bad speech, and an impure mind. That's a great source of suffering. So it's like when we make bad karma, it's like a cart with a wheel of the ox, a cart of the ox of a wheel that pulled by an ox. Wherever the ox pull the cart, the wheel will follow a person that is doing unwholesome karma wherever they go. So whatever a person do, if they do unskillful action, body and speech, it'll follow them wherever they go. So that's so basically making unwholesome karma. But the Buddha also say that if someone live a good life, the mind also is a source of great happiness. So a mind that's a pure mind that leads to good action, good speech, and a pure mind is a great source of happiness to the heart and the mind. So it's like whatever we do by our mind, body, speech, and mind, is like a shadow that follow us wherever we do, wherever we go, that would never leave us. So when I read those 2 verses of the Dhammapada, it made a lot of sense to me on Buddhist practice, and it brought a lot of happiness and joy to my heart. Yeah. So So the last 3 months during the rains retreat, we met the monastic and also lay guests here. We usually spend a lot of time in our kuti. So we devote our time in Dhamma practice, study, and meditation. So we cut down in a lot of work, and sometimes for the monastic, you see we have 2 meals a day, breakfast and also lunch. But during the Vasa period, the 3 months range retreat of basic meditation practice and basic solitude. Like myself, normally I don't have breakfast. You see, I stay in my kuti, spend a lot of time, and basically just come up for lunch and go back to the monastery, go back to my kuti straight away. So some of the monks, they do fasting. They might maybe just have breakfast only, or just fast for 1 or 2 days, or even 3 days. So fasting is a way of letting go of our attachment to what we need, because food can be a great source of attachment for a lot of people, and also a lot of desire. So food is sometimes food for monastic is quite important because we eat to maintain this body, so we can continue to practice in this path. But sometimes I find that if I don't eat too much, or if I eat little, or go do fasting once in a while, it's actually good for my health. Because sometimes when we overeat, it can lead to a lot of health problems. So a lot of people these days are doing a lot of fasting, but there's a lot of benefit in fasting, because you basically lower your weight. You also control the diabetes, things like that, and also it can help to lessen a lot of illness or sickness. So fasting is a great way of improving health. And I heard that people that fast, they have less sickness and they live longer. And for monastic, we do like intermediate fasting. So sometimes we just have breakfast only, or we just only have lunch only. Then we don't eat anything for the rest of the day in the afternoon into the next day at dawn. So fasting is actually good. But when we fast, we find that we have more energy, our body feel lighter, and our 5 senses become sharper. We can see more, we can hear more, and the mind become more awake. So it's just sharper our senses. But sometimes if we eat too much, we can feel very heavy, and feel like we are a bit bloated, and a bit drowsy. So we might tend to sleep more often. So if we eat less, we have more energy to basically do more practice. But sometimes what we find that people that go fasting, they find that when they do a long period of fasting, they find that they have this lightness in the body, and also they feel quite ecstatic. But sometimes for long period of fasting, it's always good to seek help from an expert. Because usually for the monks, sometimes we just do short fasting, not to do too many long fasting. If it's unsafe, if it's not done properly. But for the monks, we do fasting almost every day. Intermediate fasting. So spending time alone in our kuti, it's good time to reflect and deepen our meditation. Because I remember when I first ordained as a anigarika and a June, and as a trainee and a junior novice monk and a junior monk, like sometimes during the rains retreat, we spend so much time by ourselves in our kuti or monk's hut. We find that sometimes the meditation might not do well, because sometimes when we are by ourselves, we find that things like our past do come up, and We think a lot about our past, what happened before, long time ago, and so those thoughts to come out. So also sometimes we worry about the future, anxiety do come out. So all this worry and concern, we tend not to get caught up with it. Because the mind is like a monkey mind. Sometimes when things are peaceful, we feel at ease. When the meditation is doing well, it's always great to spend a lot of time by ourselves. But sometimes after a few days, our mind can go all over the place, and sometimes it leads to a lot of emotional turmoil that arises when things are not doing very well. But for monastic, we sit with it, and we watch our mind, and we watch the condition of our mind, condition of our heart, and we learn basically not to follow all this emotional turmoil that arise. So for all monastic, it's not easy staying like maybe 24 hours by yourself, sometimes up to 7 days. Because during the rains retreat Wasala, sometimes we go for silent retreat, and other monastic will just fill our lunch, our alms bowl, and bring our alms bowl, just leave it outside the Sangha house, and I come over and pick it up and go straight back to my kuti or the monk's hut. So sometimes I spend like many days or many hours by myself, not speaking to anyone. So I remember in the beginning, my first few years of training was very difficult and very hard, because sometimes it felt like I was mentally going mad in my head. All these uncontrollable thoughts, emotion and thoughts, memories, and it's basically just old karma that was coming up. So sometimes all we do is just sit and basically ride out the storm in our mind. So for monastic, meditation is not always doing well. Sometimes it can be so intense, it feels like we're going crazy or going mad in our head. But it's fine. This is normal to the practice. So after being a monastic for like over 10 years, we learn to sit with a crazy mind and learn to make peace, make it quiet, allow things to be content. Because when the mind is calm, peaceful and quiet, there's a lot of peace, happiness and freedom. When there's stillness in the mind, then we can see all these thoughts, all this emotion. We learn not to get caught up with it. You let it free. So when we let the crazy mind go and calm the mind, then this concept of non-self, we realize is the self that is driving all this unhappiness in the mind. And when we let go of our emotion, especially our thoughts, and deepen our meditation, when there's just calm awareness and stillness, then we can see things more clearly. Because for a lot of people in the world, because the five senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touch, this conditioning is very strong in all of us. So we'll always seek for happiness, desire, attachment within the world. And this will lead to suffering, great source of suffering. But as for monastic, we live very simply. We wear a simple robe. We don't have a family, but monastic we're celibate. So we learn to go deep into our mind and our heart, and work with all these defilements that arise. Because this is basically just old karma that's arising in our heart. But year by year, moment by moment, we sit and work with it through our meditation to calm our senses, calm the mind, and allow the peace, contentment, and tranquility to come arise in our heart and mind. So this is basically meditation. Because when our mind is calm and peaceful, then our awareness will rise. It's just the stillness of the mind. So when the mind is calm, peaceful and still, then we can see all these defilements that comes and go, and we can understand all this is just attachment to the world through the five senses, and it leads all the way back to the mind. That's why in Buddhism, non-self is a very powerful reflection. And we realize if there's a self and if there's an I, there's a great source of suffering. If we see that there's no one there, it's just an empty process of cause and condition, then wisdom will arise. So when there's wisdom, we then learn to let go of the I and the self quicker and easily. And then the meditation will become deeper. Yeah, that reminds me of a story. Ajahn Chah, when Ajahn Chah was younger, was a younger monk, maybe a few wasa, he used to go deep in the forest and sit and do meditation, practice a lot in the forest, because he find the forest where it's away from the busyness of the monastery, busyness of this lay people. Because as a monastic, sometimes we have to serve the lay people. So we go out to town and do just religious services. Yep. So sometimes monks like to go deep in the deep in the forest to practice. So one place that Ajahn Chah likes to do is to go in the forest and just sit meditation under a tree by himself. And when he go back to the village will be so noisy, and there's busyness of what's happening in the village. And he used to get quite upset, and he's saying that, all this noise in the village is disturbing me. He said, I wish he can go back to the forest. But he stopped and reflected on what's happening in his mind and his heart. And he realized it's not the noise that was disturbing him. It was that he was disturbing the noise. So he realized sometimes it's good not to disturb the noise. So what it meant was, don't allow his mind to get distracted or disturbed by what's happening through the five senses, through the ear, that leads to the mind. Yeah. So one thing that when a person first ordained, and the Buddhists say this some reflection for ones that have gone forward. These are the 10 reflections for a monk that we should reflect again and again when they go into the road to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. The first one is, my status have changed. So mainly is, as a monastic, we reflect, I'm not a lay person anymore. I am a monastic, so I'm very different. So my behavior should be like as a monastic. Second reflection is, my very life depends on the gifts of others. So as a monastic, if we practice well and we behave well, then our lay supporters will support us in our practice. And the third reflection is, I should behave differently to others, basically to the first one. Basically, now as a monastic, our conduct and behavior should be pure according to our Vinaya and according to the Dhamma practice. So we should not engage in behavior like lay people. Yeah. And the fourth reflection is, do I blame myself for any moral lapse? So as a monastic, especially in the Vasa, sometimes we reflect back, have our behavior have been pure? Have we behaved improper by bodily, speech and mind? So this is very important, because when we reflect back in how we behave, then we can always make improvement to basically purify our action, speech and mind. That leads to happiness, because sometimes if we overwork, we might get a bit tired and get a bit tempered and basically get in the argument with other people in the monastery and also to our monastic practitioner. And the fifth reflection, to my wise fellow monks blame me for any moral lapse. So sometimes we have to reflect back on our own behavior and what other monastic think of what we do in the monastery. As sometimes it's good to stay by yourself. When you stay by yourself, you're away from other monastic. But sometimes when you stay by yourself alone for too long, we tend to lose sight of our own miscoming, I would say our own behavior. Sometimes our fellow monastic might see our faults in us, and they can basically advise us to improve and be a better monastic. If we spend too much time by ourselves, we might not improve. We might get stuck. That's why staying in a community is very important. Sometimes it's always good to have guidance for other monastic. That's why for myself it's very important. Time to time I go back to the main monastery and be with other monks. But in Bodhinyana Monastery, there's up to about 25 monks there. And then we have senior monks like Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn Api. And sometimes they give very good advice. If I misbehave myself or do anything silly, they can actually let me know. So having calendar meters or good friends in the holy life is very important for monastic. And also the sixth reflection is for monastic, all that is pleasing to me will decay and disappear. Yeah, so it's good. Sometimes we reflect everything's impermanent. Our friends, our family, our parents, sometimes even the monastery. Yeah, and so our supporters. Nothing lasts. So all our good friends, our families, sometimes they will leave this world. Yep, this is the law of nature. Because once a person is born, they will get older, get sicker, and pass away. So that's why it gives a lot of urgency to our practice. Especially in this world now, with the problem of the world, with the coronavirus, with climate change, with more and more population increase, so that tend to lead to more problems in the world. So all these things are always uncertain and always changing. Basically impermanent. So time again and again we reflect how things are going, and not to waste our time. And the seventh reflection is I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born from my karma, related to my karma, and all karma as my refuge. Whatever skillful or evil karma I do, of that I will be the heir. So it's very important for a monastic to realize if we do anything skillful and unwholesome, we have to bear our karma. So it's always good just to do good acts by speech and mind. Because sometimes it's very easy to make unwholesome karma, but also it's even harder to make good karma. And the eighth reflection is the days and nights are realizing passing. How well am I spending my time? So that's quite important for monastic. So we reflect time is actually moving very fast as the older we get. So how am I spending my time in the monastery and by myself? So am I wasting my time, or should I be doing more study, doing more practice? And the ninth reflection is, do I delight in solitude or not? So for a monastic, solitude is very important. So we don't spend too much time hanging around with too many other people or monastic, wasting time in too many discussion or worldly things. And if we do any discussion, should be on Dhamma practice. Not on gossip too much, or just what's happening in the world. And the 10th reflection is quite important. Have I attained any state of super, we'll say, what I mean is, do a monk ordain any state of awakening, or should I be embarrassed if questioned on my deathbed by our fellow monks? So that's why the only time that we can talk about our deep meditation or any of our attainment is when we are dying in our bed. So when we're dying in our bed, if our teachers or other monks ask us before we pass away, do you delight in solitude? Do you delight being by yourself? Do you delight in meditation? Do you delight in deep meditation, especially in the meditation of the mind, in bliss, in contentment, in basically blissful meditation, jhana meditation, and have any awakening or any insight in basically rebirth? Because sometimes when we go into deep meditation, we can remember our past life. So I met some monks who have remembered their past life, or any state of awakening or enlightenment state. So you see, as a monastic, we don't talk about these states at all to anyone, especially lay people, or sometimes to other monastic. But to our teacher, it's okay to talk about this kind of states. But when only time that we talk about it to other monastic is when we are dying in our last moment. Then it's okay to talk about this practice. So these 10 things or 10 reflection for a monk to have gone forward that we should reflect again and again. Sangha is very important. I mean, when we have a Sangha here, it's a community of practitioners. We practice together, and we support one another in our practice. So sometimes lay people that are not Buddhists, they will ask, what's the benefit of having monks and nuns in the world? Basically, we don't really work, we don't earn money, we don't have a family, we stay by ourselves. Sometimes we even stay alone most of the time. And sometimes people meet in the street, they say, please go and get a job. What are you doing? Doing nothing at home or in the monastery. But there is a purpose in this holy life, because we do have to really sit and practice and overcome our attachment and our defilements in our heart through the 5 senses. So when we sit and when we practice and when all this emotional turmoil arises in our heart, we learn to calm our mind and let it go and develop wisdom. So when we live a pure life, live a life of peace and harmony, and contentment. Then when a lay person see a Buddhist monk or Buddhist nun, they see we are a being or a monastic that is living this pure life of non-attachment, especially to greed, hatred, and delusion. So basically, it's a great example to everyone. So it's a great example, especially to lay people, when in a time of difficulty. So one of the benefits having a Sangha is, we do give direction and to living a peaceful livelihood, a great example to everyone that's interested, living this life of peace, happiness, and freedom. So lay people do come and see the monastic and seek for guidance and direction to live a simple and pure and peaceful life. So the monks and nuns are a great example. So it does give an opportunity for our lay supporters and also even non-Buddhists in times of turmoil, uncertainty, to seek for guidance from monks. And that's one reason why monks and nuns give Dhamma talks. But also for our Buddhist supporters family, if their uncles, their friends, even their kids, if they need teaching or seek teaching and direction advice from monastic. But due to the COVID now, a lot of the functions or activities or service in the Buddhist Society of Victoria is on hold at the moment, temporarily. But once all the restrictions are lifted, then one of the services that we give there is regular Dhamma talks, giving the precept, and reminding people on the three refuges and the precept. And also, we conduct service to the young Buddhists, the kids and the children from our Buddhist families and supporters, because we have regular class there on Sunday. So when the kids do come, they're conditioned by the Buddhist teaching, because as they're young, they're growing up, they are conditioned by the world, by the worldly things, brainwashed by the world, basically just to achieve and to get what's required and be the best they can be in the worldly point. But the good thing about the Sangha, we condition our lay supporters, especially young kids, develop kindness, compassion, gentleness in our heart. So as a monk, as a monastic, our job is to basically help and support our lay practitioner. So they condition themselves in a wholesome way that will lead to great happiness in the future. But being a monk for 10 years, sometimes we see a lot of our Buddhist supporters, the kids come out, they come to the monastery, they go to Dhamma school, and you see them grow up. They're quite happy. And and as they get older, go to university, get married, or sometimes get divorced, have different jobs, and very different, when they have a very difficult time, and they always realize the Sangha is always there, and they need help or advice, they always feel safer to come just to see Ajahn Brahm, or to see any of the senior monks, or to see any monks that's staying in this monastery, monks and nuns, ask for guidance, in practice, in virtue, in precept, and in meditation. So it's great to always see the benefit of a Sangha, and it does bring a lot of faith and happiness to a lot of people all over the world. But also, the good thing about having a Sangha here is brings like blessing to to lay people and allow lay people to make merit for the Sangha. So some of the lay people come here during their birthday. Sometimes they have wedding, blessing, or special occasion. So this one benefit having a Sangha. But the most important thing is just guidance in one's spiritual practice and growth to the monastic life and to the Buddhist Dhamma teaching or Dhamma and Vinaya. The training of the heart and the mind in goodness and purity. So that's one reason why it's good to have a monastery. If there's more monastery all over the world, it'll be great. Well, anyway, instead of talking too much, sometimes it's good to tell a story. So so I've been reflecting on some of the stories that Ajahn Brahm tells, and there was a good story that I heard maybe over a year ago. So I can't remember the detail, but roughly what the story is about. So so this story is about a monk staying up in the mountain or up in the hill and a baby girl. So this story starts. So in Asia, there was this simple monk that was staying up in the mountain, living by himself. He was a simple monk, just practicing and doing his duties and minding his own business. So he spent a lot of time by himself and don't really get disturbed by anyone. Until one day, so one day there was a girl staying in the village, and he was having a relationship with one of these boyfriend, and the relationship got very close. And one time it got so close that things tends to happen when you have young people together. And the two young person, the girlfriend got pregnant, and she got so worried. She got pregnant, and she told her boyfriend that she got pregnant, and the boyfriend got so worried and so afraid and so scared that he actually ran away. And after he ran away, the girl was so worried and was going, "Oh no, what can I do? If I tell my parents, they'll get really angry with me. So I need to find a scapegoat, someone to blame." So the young girl told her parents that I'm pregnant, and the parents got really angry. They say, "What? You got pregnant? But you're so young, and you're not even married. What have you done?" And the parents got so angry and they say, "Who is it? Who have done this to you?" And the girl got so worried because she don't want to get her boyfriend into trouble. So it's just out of lack of desperation or mindfulness. She say, "Oh, is that old monk up in the hill?" And the village people and the parents got so angry. "Oh, jeez. Oh, that monk. Okay, we'll all go up there." So the parents and the whole village gang crew and with the young girl took the girl up into the hills, up into the mountains to see that simple old monk staying in a little hermitage. And they went there. They got the monk and they scolded the monk. They say, "You sick, dirty old monk! Look what you have done to this poor village girl. You should know better. What kind of monk you are? You one dirty old monk, sick monk." So the village people scolded and yelled and abused that poor old monk. Well, anyway, so that monk, it was quite simple. It was practicing meditation and contentment, equanimity. So all he said was, oh so, yeah, so. So after that, after the lay people and the parents scolded and yelled and abused the monk verbally, yeah, they all left and went down to the village. So after a few months, the young girl gave birth to a newborn baby girl, and so after giving birth to the baby girl, the whole village gang or tribe all went up to the hill to see that simple monk, and they went there and they continued abusing the monk. Okay, we're all back here. You sick monk. you pathetic monk. Okay, since what you have done to our daughter, please take care of the baby girl. It's your responsibility. Since what you have done, please take care of the baby girl. This is your responsibility now. So the monk say, oh, well, there's nothing he can do. So I say, oh, okay. Yeah. So the monk took the baby girl and care for it. Because as a monastic, sometimes we celibate, we give up the worldly life, we live simply. And but what happened? The village people blame the monk for what have happened to their daughter, and basically it is the responsibility of the monk to take care of the child, especially a baby girl, and the monk had never taken care of a child before. But luckily, the monk is quite resourceful. He managed to trap and find some goats in the mountain, so he can basically just build some milk from the goat and basically feed the baby girl. When all the village people went back to the village, they say, okay, it's the monk's responsibility. They can take care of the babies now. But the young girl, after giving birth to the child, she was so unhappy. She missed her daughter so much that she was basically heartbroken. So she can't stand it anymore. So one time she confessed to the parents and say that, oh no, it's not the that old monk up there. He's not the father. It's the young person, boy that I was seeing, that he is the father, because he was my boyfriend. So she confessed about the real person, the culprit for the father of the child. So as soon as the parents heard about it, and the rest of the village people heard about it, they got so guilty and so upset that they went and abused and complained to the monk and blamed the monk for all everything that happened to the child, and they realized they made the mistake. So the whole village all went up there again, and they see the old monk up there. They asked for forgiveness. They bent down. They went down their knees. They bowed 3 times. The whole village, especially the young daughter, and asked for forgiveness and say, "Oh, please, Venerable, please forgive me for coming over, blaming you for what happened to our daughter and giving all this verbal abuse to you. Please, Venerable Sir, we have made very, very bad karma. Please forgive us for our miscoming. We'll take back the baby girl and take care of her. And please forgive us for everything that we have done." And so the old monk, so he just say, so let things be. Yeah. So the moral of the story, as a monastic, so whatever happens, we just accept things. If it's good, we accept it. If it's bad, we accept things. We accept things as they are. Because as long as we are born in this world, good things happen, bad things happen. This is the nature of the world, and sometimes there's nothing we can do. Yes. Yeah, even as a monastic, coming to Newbury Buddhist Monastery, I've learned a lot. Staying in Bodhinyana Monastery, we are protected by Ajahn Brahm and the senior monks. Coming to Newbury Buddhist Monastery, in the beginning, I came here because I was staying in Bodhinyana for something like 7 years. So after 7 years in the monastery, I was getting very restless and quite discontent with the monastery because I was staying there too long. So I spoke to Ajahn Brahm and I said maybe it's time for me to move on and just stay in other monastery. Ajahn Brahm said, yeah, that's a good idea. You've been here long enough. Just go and check out the monastery. So I left Bodhinyana after 7 years staying there, and I went to 3 monasteries. The first monastery I went to was Wat Dhamma Monastery. I stayed there for about 10 weeks. Then after that I went to Santin Monastery and stayed for roughly 2 weeks, and it's there where I met Richard. And me and Richard become very good friends. And I did mention to Richard, if you ever get bored or get sick of the monastery, just like me, you're always welcome to come down and stay in Newbury Buddhist Monastery. Yes, and he came over here 3 years ago, and it's been a great part of the community, and we're very happy and grateful to have Richard with us. Because he's been a great part of the community here. And I think the Sangha here are very lucky to have Richard here, because he's got a lot of experience staying in the monastery and taking care of monks and especially nuns. Yes, because Santi Monastery was mainly a nuns monastery. So I stayed in Santi for roughly 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, I went to Newbury Buddhist Monastery, because I went there just to basically check out the monastery, but mainly to came down to support Bhante Jack. So Bhante Jack was a good friend of mine, so I came in to give him a hand because I knew that he was starting a new monastery and he needed a lot of help. So when I came over to support him for roughly 6 weeks for the grand opening, so I realized that he needed a lot of help. So I came over to support him. But after staying for 6 weeks, I realized that, wow, there's so much work here, so much busyness setting up this monastery, that I decided to stay on for 3 months. And I promised Bhante Jack and I.O. Baker that I'll come back every single year to support both of them, to support this project, to make sure that the monastery is built and established. Then after it's built and established, and the monks and the nuns have their own place, then I'll retire and go back to Bodhinyana Monastery. But after staying for a few years in Newbury Buddhist Monastery, and after that, Bhante Jack decided to move on and do something else. Then basically the nuns and the committee say that, oh, Bhante, please support us, please take care of the community. And I was going, what? I'm just a baby junior monk. What do I know? Oh, okay, no worries. Ayo. Okay, so I just accepted it. Okay, I'll try my best and to support this community. So after 6 years, this place is built and it's running very well. So I'm very happy and quite proud that things managed to turn around very well. So we do have a beautiful monastery here and a very nice community. So this year is probably my best wasa staying in Newbury Buddhist Monastery. And from the feedback of the monastic and the nuns and the lay people that comes here, they say this is really feel like really nice, quiet forest monastery. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. Yeah. So so please forgive me if this is a really boring Dhamma talk, because I'm not a study monk, so I don't spend a lot of time studying the suttas too much, because you see the Ajahn Brahm and other monks, they basically expert in Pali and Vinaya. I mean, for myself, I just like to practice and work. So I'm not intellectual monastic. So please forgive me if I say anything wrong. Yeah, and if it's too boring. So please, you're welcome for any question and answer.
Thank you, Bhante. Yes, so far we have one question.
Oh, good.
So the question is, what is the reason to do anything after you learn to stop reacting your needs and wants? Or if you do not have anything to do nothing, as Ajahn Brahm says?
Yes, it's very important. Sometimes we calm our mind, we still our mind. And when that happens, when there's a lot of contentment and there's a lot of peace, and the mindfulness will rise, then the mind will see what is wholesome and what is unwholesome, and what leads to suffering, and what leads to happiness. So when we purify our actions, speech and mind, then we develop wisdom. So with the wisdom there's a rise in our heart and the mind. So when we do things, we do it with right understanding. So we do things properly. They're skillful. They will lead to happiness for other people and especially to ourselves. So it brings happiness to everyone. So that's why it's very important. As a monastic, as a lay people, we have responsibility and duties towards our family, towards our friends, towards our work, towards our society. As for monastic, we have duties towards the Sangha and towards our lay practitioners and supporters. So when we do things, we do it that will lead to happiness to all beings. So when it's done skillfully, it's done properly. Yep. So sometimes, as a monastic and a practitioner, it is good to do nothing and to practice and to purify the mind, to free our mind from attachment. But sometimes outside of meditation, and when we're not alone, we have other duties to perform. So it's very important to do things skillfully. So when you do things skillfully, with a pure heart, with a pure intention, it leads to happiness. When it leads to happiness, when we finish our duties, we finish our tasks, we go back to our room, and we go back to meditation, we have a happy heart and a content heart that we know that we did things properly and right. I hope that answers the questions.
I think that was probably the only question so far. Perhaps we've got a bit of time. I just mentioned one or two comments, if I could.
Yes.
Thank you, Bhante. It's always interesting to hear the lives of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. One comment. Hello, Bhante. I think you are going well, considering you probably had to wake up and start the talk an hour earlier due to the start of the daylight saving.
Yes.
Also, there are people, a lot of express their appreciation for your talks today.
Oh, no worries. It's my pleasure. I basically give simple Dhamma talks. And sometimes I reflect again and again, why am I giving a talk? I ordained just to be a simple forest monk, to do a lot of practice and just to support community. And sometimes a lot of fear do arise when you have to give Dhamma talks to lay people. Sometimes we reflect that maybe what we say is not skillful, it's not proper, or other people might listen to it and they might realize that no, this monk is talking rubbish or nonsense. So all these defilements to come in like in my heart and also in other monastic. So giving public talks, Dhamma talks, a lot of fear to arise in a practitioner. Sometimes we have to learn to sit down to watch in our heart and our mind why this fear and reflection, this fear is arising in our heart. But I heard on the documentary they say that perfect speaking talks is one of the most difficult things for a human being to do. So I realized, oh geez, so it's not easy giving Dhamma talks, especially to a big crowd community or people or lay supporters. Because I remember when I first came here, after staying in Bodhinyana Monastery for a long time, and when Bhante and our because away, sometimes we have up to about 50 people come to stay. I mean to come and offer dana, and some do stay in the monastery, and they come in to support the community. So it's always nice to give some guidance and a Dhamma talk. And when I first gave Dhamma talks here to a community of people coming here to support the community, I was quite nervous. I was going, it's like almost like I was shaking on my hand, and there was like almost like a sick feeling in my stomach. I realized it was coming from anxiety, fear, and worry. So I say, okay, I just have to have a positive mind and let go of this unhappy emotion and feeling. So after giving Dhamma talks for a while, I realized that just try my best. Something might not come out well. So it might not be the best of my ability, but all I did is just try. Because sometimes I reflect why the reason why I'm giving a Dhamma talk is mainly just to help people that need guidance and benefit. Because when I first give a Dhamma talk in Malaysia, when I was still like a one Vasa monk, been enrolled for like 3 years, and I was just visiting my family in Malaysia, and my friend was there, and he was giving conducting a retreat for the weekend and some Dhamma talk, and he invited me to basically to help support his retreat. So I just gave some Dhamma talk. It's pretty simple. And after the Dhamma talk, some people came up to me and say that they got a lot of benefit out of it. And I go, I was pretty happy. I wasn't expecting it much, but it's good that people got benefit out of it. And one time I was asked to give some talks and guidance to 3 people that was dying, and they have terminal sickness, and they didn't have long to live. So I go, geez, I'm not really qualified to give this kind of talks or guidance to people that are basically really unwell, sick and dying. Should be someone like Ajahn Brahm or anyone that have 20 Vasa. But anyway, I try my best in the way. But the feedback from the person afterwards and from our supporter was they found a lot of benefit from what I gave and I teach. And one person, after giving them guidance, they say that she was very peaceful into the time she passed away. And the feedback from her friends was she used to be a very unhappy and angry person, very fault-finding. But after the guidance, she just become very happy and peaceful into the day she passed away. And also another person that she got cancer twice, and she said on the retreat she was the only person to have the deepest meditation. And I asked what's happening in her meditation, and she said that her mind become very peaceful, and she got into very deep meditation where her body disappear, her mind become very still, and she saw this really bright light that arise in the mind. So this is just a reflection of the mind. So normally a person, for all of us, when a person passes away, when our 5 senses shut down, when our mind becomes very still, Then when we depart from this world, sometimes people with near-death experience, they describe this bright light that arises in the mind. So it's basically a reflection of our mind. So, but in Buddhist practice, we know that this is just a reflection of mind. When we calm the body, when we still the mind, when we shut down our five senses in deep meditation, when the mind is very calm and very peaceful, then the mind will arise naturally in deep meditation. Sometimes it will arise in the form of light. So for Buddhist meditation practitioner, this is normal. For some of us, we go so deep in our meditation, these things will arise. But most people, they don't have that. Yeah.
Bhante, one question just came up.
Yes.
How would you cope with meditation if you have tinnitus, which is, the thing to do with ringing in the ears?
Oh, okay. That is normal. That's very normal. I mean, before I practice meditation, I have a lot of ringing in my ear, and I realized it was just stress, anxiety, and also not sleeping properly. So the ringing was quite strong. So I thought I was going crazy. So when I started doing meditation and calm the mind down, then the ringing become less and less and less and less and less. But these days, and if I go into meditation, and everything become very, very, very quiet, especially up in the monastery, in the really quiet kuti here, then I find that sometimes the ringing do arise again, and I realize, okay, the ringing is come back, but it's not as loud as before. Sometimes it's very subtle, and sometimes it's very soothing. So this ringing is quite wrong. It's quite normal. It comes back and comes and goes. And when our mindfulness becomes quite strong, our senses become also quite strong too. And sometimes this sound or ringing do arise. Yep. So when it comes out, we're aware of it, and we just understand it's just the mind doing stuff. Yep. So when as a layperson, the ringing was there all the time. So it was pretty intense. But now it does arise, but it's not so intense as before. It's more refined ringing. It's more subtle. So I spoke to Ajahn Brahm before, and he says it's just normal. It's just the brain doing its stuff. And I spoke to some of the monks and also practitioners. They say this is normal. It's sound limiters, because for a monastic or for a practitioner, there is the sign of the mind. So the sound of the mind or the mental image, sometimes it's a form of a light, sometimes it's a form of objects, a form of places. And one thing that's quite common is sound limiters. Sound limiters is something, sometimes you can hear sound, you can hear music, and sometimes you can hear voices, and sometimes you can hear ringing. And when things arise, we learn not to get too caught up with it and just let it go. Don't get attached to all this sound, mental image, and stuff that arises in the mind. Because sometimes when Buddhist practitioners, when they do a lot of meditation, they find that mental image do arise, sound do arise, and sometimes even smell do arise. Sometimes you can be sitting doing meditation, and you might smell something like a nice coffee, or you might smell someone smoking, or even flowers. Yeah, it's just the mind projecting all this stuff. And it's quite common because when the mind becomes calmer and peaceful, everything's shut down, the mind would tend to generate another world. So when they generate another world within the conscience, all these interesting things come up. You see visions, you see different worlds, you hear things, you smell things. A lot of interesting sensation to arise up in the body. So all these things do arise in this terrain of meditation. But for a skillful practitioner, we learn that all these mental images arise. We learn just to understand it, not to hold on to it, and just let it go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Before we wrap up, just like to mention a couple of comments.
Yes.
First one, please inform Bhante that his talks are very good, a lot of wisdom.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhante. You are very humble and inspiring. Your talks are very relatable, talking about your life as a layperson. And finally, your talk is very clear with instruction and remove doubt. So I have no question. Just to put it into practice.
Thank you.
Those are some.
Sometimes it's good to be humble. I mean, sometimes it's good not to be too proud, because sometimes to be a bit too proud, have a sense of self and conceit. Because when someone is enlightened, fully enlightened, they'll go out to the Buddha and tell the Buddha, I'm not better, I'm not worse, I'm not the same. Because the concept of non-self is so important. There's no one there. It's just an empty process. So sometimes when I teach, sometimes it's good to do things properly, and it's a good talk, and I do help. Sometimes people do get a lot of benefit out of it, but sometimes I reflect, it's just coming from the Buddhist teaching, and if I can practice, and if my practice is different, I can basically share things in better detail, but I always reflect, the reason I'm doing this is for the benefit of all beings. And that's one reason why monks and nuns go to other monasteries to teach, other places to teach, and to set up a monastery for the benefit and happiness of all beings. So sometimes I keep on reflecting on that, why we are teaching, and basically it's just to help all beings and the benefit of everyone. So sometimes it's good to come and support this monastery, and for the happiness and benefit of all, and to give all these Dhamma talks online. Because in the beginning, I was quite worried and anxious when I heard that we have to give Dhamma talks, and we have to put it online, because due to COVID, we can't go to the city center, so we have to do everything online these days. I was going, oh man, I ordained to be a simple forest monk, not to give Dhamma talks online. But it's okay, I just reflect, I'm doing this for the benefit of all. So it's good. Okay, thank you. Anyway, it's now it's lunchtime for the monastic, and it's one of the happiest time for the monks to look forward to, because we only have one meal a day, so this is something that the monks look forward to. And sometimes I just reflect myself, I'm just eating for not enjoyment, to maintain this body, so we can strive on and practice in this spiritual practice of the Eightfold Path. But I mean, the food here is really good sometimes. And sometimes when my parents go up to Bodhinyana Monastery, it's like we have a buffet of food. It's like we have like food from all over different culture. We have Western food, we have Italian food, we have Japanese food, we have Thai food, we have Sri Lankan food. And my mom asked me, now we understand why you're ordained as a monastic, because you have so much food there. We have a selection of like 50 to 100 different dishes. And sometimes it's very hard not to enjoy too much with the food. And that's why I say, okay, if I leave Bodhinyana Monastery and come to a poor monastery like Newbury Buddhist Monastery in the beginning, where there's hardly any support, okay, it's good. It will restrain my defilements. I learn and bring a bit of suffering for myself, and let go of my attachment. But after 6 years, Newbury Buddhist Monastery is doing so well. Sometimes I get up to 200 people coming. I was going, okay, maybe I should look for another quiet monastery to go and support. But it's okay. I always come back to this monastery, because this has always been a special place for me, coming here and support this community. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.